Hey!
This is JJ and Alex.
I made a name for myself, I told you I won't be denied.
As you wrap up your day, it's time to get your fix of the teams you live for and the sports you love. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Happy game week, everybody. College football is here, question mark? Upon us, question mark?
I watched games that counted on Saturday.
They were technically in the – there are teams in the win column and loss columns now,
and
JJ.
How much fun was week 0?
Hey, some spitting in faces.
Love it.
An upset already.
Hair pulling. Oh, wait, that was soccer.
That was women's soccer, but you know what? Equally
Wrong
as fun a
sport.
video to watch.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
I mean, that's awful, is what I meant to say.
Right, don't do that.
JJ, what's up, man? How was your weekend? Everything good?
Well, it couldn't be better because we did have college football to watch. I'm excited about this week because college football is coming. I'm just excited. This is my favorite time of year, Alex, because it's not like basketball where there's 82 games a year or hockey where there's 82 games a year or baseball where there's 162 games a year. In college football, NFL football, I'll even throw high school out there. Every game is an event, and we have events to cover this week, and I'm fired up about it.
Actual games, and let me just tell you how this week is going to go. We've got you covered all the way up and down here. Of course, we've got press conferences from both BYU and Utah today. You're going to hear some chunks of those, both coaches and their weekly massive sigh that they give. Okay, I'll take your questions, I guess. It's always fun. Look, they've
missed us.
They're more
the coaches have missed us.
No, they have not.
Yes, they've missed us.
They're
We're
more
back.
frustrated with all this than we are. Like, you think we're chomping at the bit? Like, these guys are like, are you kidding? We have to go. How many days till we can actually get this thing going? Utah's in a great spot because they get to play Thursday and be like, let's get this thing going.
Their excitement is day one of camp. They're back. They're back to work. They're starting to build a season. They've been through a month of grinding.
Oh, yeah.
And they're worn out and they're tired and they've had tough decisions to make. And I'm sure they got some grumpy players who aren't going the too deep and all this stuff. And it's game week, so they got to do this and this and this. I know how hard game week is for coaches. And they've got good support staff to help with a lot of stuff. But it's a headache. And this is not the funnest time. The fun time is when things actually get underway on Thursday night and Saturday, when the ball is kicked off into the air. Then they can just coach and play. Right now, I think there's a lot of nerves. I think there's a lot of, lack of sleep, tiredness. They're getting ready for the season. They poured their heart and soul into this, and we're about to find out just how good they are.
I'm really pumped because we've got actual games, of course, here locally. The biggest question, I think, if you were to ask a question that would be the most important one for each fan base, it's pretty obvious what they are because we've been asking them during the entirety of the fall camp.
We've been breaking this down
nonstop,
as much as we possibly can. I know you listening right now, you want to actually break down games. We're the same. We want to do the same thing. But you're asking, what are those things?
Number one for Utah.
Number one for Utah. Can Cam Rising and the key players stay healthy?
Ding, ding, ding. Well, there's that. It's like, how are they going to look after, the quote-unquote
Cam and
Russ
Brant
is knocked
Keithy.
off.
I mean, I'll throw Mekhi Bernard in there.
Yeah.
Maybe, Connor O'Toole. Van Villinger was injured, banged up.
Guys
Some of these
who are
key
back,
players,
yes.
Is the rust off? Are they 100%? Because how successful they are this year, and the reason why they're ranked 12th in the country is we're betting that the rust is off, and the talent of this team is going to be 100% healthy and be able to perform at its highest level. And if that's the case, then the Utes, their ceiling is as high as anybody's in the country. We just don't know yet. You're right. That is the question. That is the key.
Okay, BYU, number one question.
Who's the quarterback, and are they going to be any good?
There you go.
It's not just who the quarterback is.
Nobody
cares who the actual quarterback is. They want to know if the quarterback's actually going to be able to get this offense to be better than 120th in the country. Because last year was not good. That was not BYU. And you got spoiled because you had Jaron Hall and Zach Wilson under center, and then before that, Taysom Hill, if you want to go way back. BYU's been spoiled with some good offense in the last decade. Not last year. Not last year.
Well, and their defense wasn't necessarily,
11 sacks, right?
lighting it up either.
Last in the country.
I can't imagine BYU staying down for very long, right? I mean, it just is a hard thing to think because it's not something that they've done very often where they don't basement dwell in conferences like ever. I get it. The first year of the conference but 2-7. Can you improve on that? That's the big question right there. And then Utah State. How on earth are they going to pull this thing off?
How do they overcome all the drama and all the tragedy and all the pain and everything they've gone through and all the uncertainty? I mean, Coach Dreiling doesn't know if he's going to be the head coach beyond December.
For sure.
How many of these players are actually going to stay at the end of the season? That program's got so many question marks.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Utah State, I don't know how good they're going to be, but that's going to be one of the most fascinating storylines to watch because if they do overcome all this and have a great season, that is going to be one heck of a story.
I will tell you, too, like there's a little bit of part. I was talking with a friend this weekend who's a Utah State fan, and he goes, but you know what? I'm actually glad that we don't have to wonder who the starting quarterback is.
True.
I was like, how is it that Utah State fan is dunking on BYU fan right now going, yeah, but we have a quarterback at least listed who's going to be our starter, and they're going to go with him, and that's the guy. And I get it. It's frustrating. But you know what? Hope springs eternal on a week like this. We've got our program, as always, is brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar perfect for anybody who needs a quick, tasty, nutritious boost. We've got tons to get into. We've got some sound from up on the hill. Of course, the big one this week is Kyle Whittingham and his Utes are kicking off very first local team, getting it done, starting things off on a Thursday. It's an SUU who's coming in and knows exactly what they're getting paid to do, which is to, well, not lay down, but at least give the Utes a look. You got to give them a look. Delane Fitzgerald and his Thunderbirds coming in. Let's kick off the program as we always do. It is The Cut. Let's jump in right here.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is What Made the Cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You guys should be more pumped up about the fall than I am. That's a top 8, maybe a top 6 program there in Salt Lake City. My prediction is that they win the Big 12 and make the college football playoff. Just an exciting group. And men, we've sit here for the last 3 months and off and on. I've watched them on film. It's the best front 7 that I've ever prepared for.
Coach Delane Fitzgerald, right on cue, the head coach of Southern Utah Thunderbirds, coming into Rice-Eccles Stadium on Thursday. It's always flowery, but I think this time he actually might believe all of it, the stuff that he said, JJ. And if he doesn't, he should, because it's probably the best front 7 he'll have ever coached against and that he'll probably ever coach against. I mean, this is an insanely talented Utah team. They're retooled. They have it all going for them. Now, Kyle Whittingham in his week 1 press conference, it's official. It's in the books. They're ready to go. And so let's jump into some of the audio here of what he has to say. By the way, The Cut brought to you by Trajan Wealth, TRAJAN Wealth.com. That's TrajanWealth.com for your financial needs in retirement. So here's what Kyle Whittingham had to say, because he's been really, really good, that front end of it. He has his guys ready. It's pretty rare that they lay an egg in that first game, and this is what he said about that and starting off strong in that first game.
I think it's the mindset of our players. You know, we've got a team that most every year works very hard and prepares the right way, and this year is no exception. You know, the biggest key is good players that are ready to play, you know, in the opener and every subsequent week thereafter. But I would say that is the biggest factor, is the way our guys work in the fall camp, focus and concentrate, get themselves ready to compete, right frame of mind.
That is one thing. That if you talk about calling cards for Kyle Whittingham's teams, and readiness is never an issue. A stage being too big is never an issue. Overlooking opponents is never really something that happens very often with the Utes. And I think that this is they know now that there's a different. We've talked about this all offseason. There's a different feel to this. It's not often that they're put at the top of a league to be the favorite to win, but in the Pac-12 they were. I know we talk about how they're not used to this, but the Utes have been the preseason favorite before going into even the Pac-12 in those last couple of years. At least one of those years, they were the favorite to win, and they won the freaking conference. And so it's not just one to go in and be the favorite; it's another to go in and actually get it done. And Whit and his guys, I think that's the most fascinating storyline in the entire state, is how are all these guys coming back going to look? And is it going to just be picking up right where you left off 2 years ago? Because that's a hard thing to ask.
Joel Klatt says this, and I love it. He's right. Death taxes in Utah football. That's a compliment to Utah football because they've been so consistent over a long period of time. You take away those 2 years in the Pac-12 where they in the transition when they went 5-7. I mean, they've just been consistently good year in and year out. And this idea that Utah's overlooked, that they're underdogs, that it's a cute story, those days are long over. Utah is a consistent top 25 program, and they can't play like that anymore. They can't use that anymore. I'm sure it frustrates Kyle because it worked so well and was so effective for so long, but Utah is no longer an underdog unless they're playing Georgia or Ohio State or maybe Oregon this year. I don't know, Texas maybe. I mean, who's Alabama? Other than that, they're not the underdog in any game they're going to play this year. We looked at the schedule already, and they probably will be a slight underdog in Stillwater against Oklahoma State. Totally understandable. Oklahoma State's a good team, and Stillwater's a tough place to play. The Cowboys don't lose there very often. But outside of that, they're going to be favored in every game this year. So those days are over. They're not an underdog anymore, and that's a compliment to the program. And in addition to what you're talking about with is the rust off of these guys, how does this team respond to being the favorite? How does this team respond to being picked to win? I think they're getting better at it. The second Pac-12 championship run they had, remember, that did not go exactly smoothly.
No.
They were picked to win, and
No.
they needed some kind of crazy, wild scenario to play out on the last day of the regular season to get into the Pac-12 championship game. And once they did, they took care of business. But they had slip-ups, and that Florida opener didn't go smoothly, and they lost at Oregon, and Cam was beat up, and he missed a game at Washington State. Like, nothing's guaranteed, and nothing's going to go smoothly. They just find ways, but they're no longer in this underdog role. They are the favorites. They are the hunted. They've got a target on their back, to use every cliche I can come up with, in the Big 12 this year right out of the gate. It's an interesting situation here with a conference that isn't new but is new because so many new teams have come in, and there's an unfamiliarity for a lot of these teams and a lot of these schools that haven't played each other. I don't think it's a big deal, but it is something.
I do wonder, though, too, like if a coach like Kyle Whittingham, who has seen it all, essentially at this point, we've wondered of whether or not how long he wants to keep doing this, right? It's a little unfair for us to wonder for somebody when we don't really know what's going on in their head. But I think the reason is because we've seen things like the announcement of Coach Morgan Scalley being put back at that coach in waiting spot. There is something to be said about how wild college football has gotten and how guys like Kyle Whittingham don't love what the current format is of the transfer portal stuff and playing that game, and they've navigated it brilliantly, despite the fact that their head coach, I think a lot of head coaches do the same thing where they roll their eyes and go, man, we got to figure this thing out. And it's not fun to have to do. It's nice to get that paycheck, but certainly he doesn't want to go out not doing something special, and I think that's what they're obviously aiming for this year. Here's what he had to say about right now. I mean, if you talk about depth charts, they don't really exactly have it totally figured out at the running back spot, but at the same time, I think they know they have a lot of guys who could plug in, find out who that person is. Maybe this is a little bit of a tryout game. He's not worried about that running back position quite yet.
Even though we don't have a clear-cut RB1, it's not the end of the world that we don't have that, but we have the two tiers of running backs, like I mentioned towards the end of fall camp, where Mekhi Bernard, Jalen Glover, Mike Mitchell have been in that first group, and then we'll see the vast majority of the playing time. You'll also see Deion Stanley get some touches during the game, and then Hunter Andrews has been a really good addition to the running back group, will add value, and then Charlie Vincent, Mr. Reliable, that is such a weapon for us on special teams. He's one of the mainstays on special teams, but that is the room that we're working with, those six guys. And like I said, that first tier has separated itself from the second tier, with the exception of Deion having a package of plays that he'll execute.
It'd be nice to be given a package of plays, right? Here's the thing. You don't want a tryout situation for a quarterback spot. I'm perfectly happy with it if you've got just too many good running backs. This is exactly the kind of
position.
Of course, it's exactly the kind of game where you go, yeah, show me what you got. Hey, show me what you have, and until you blow it, you'll be the guy. Like, we'll give you a million touches. And here's the thing, too. A guy like Mekhi Bernard, like, he's going to get a bunch of touches. both being handed the ball, and they're going to ask a lot of him catching the ball out of the backfield because he's been so dang good at it his whole career. So you already know what you're going to get with him. You know what you're going to get with every one of these guys. It's just different names on the back of the jerseys that you're necessarily used to seeing. But if Jalen Glover isn't 100%, fine. Mekhi Bernard, is going to be there. I love the idea that, what's his name? Mike
Mitchell.
Mike Mitchell, yeah. A guy that phenomenal. A guy we haven't been able to actually see in person to see what he's capable of doing. And they are absolutely over the moon about this big body back, right? Yep. And then Deion Stanley, you hear his name thrown out there as well. Every one of these guys could perform very, very, very well. This is a great time to try these guys out in a game on Thursday against Southern Utah.
It's a position where you don't have to have the starter nailed down. It's not like quarterback where we all understand the quarterback position, how important it is, how intricate it is, and the importance of having a guy back there all the time consistently. Running back's this different. You can rotate guys in, give guys different reps, different downs, give guys chances to pop a play. Like you said, Deion Stanley's going to get some opportunities. That's perfect. That's great. Like, you have this stable of athletes, use them. Figure out who's going to be the guy. And if someone comes in, if Jalen Glover comes in and he's taken it to the next level and he's finally reached his potential that we all thought he had when he came here as a freshman out of Florida, and he goes out there and he runs for 150 yards in the season opener in the first half or something like that, then ride him out.
Yeah, you're the guy.
But if he doesn't, that's okay. Give Mike Mitchell a shot. Mekhi Bernard's going to give you whatever you need in both the run and pass game. So you got that senior that's ready to go. Mm-hmm. I don't see any negative with this group. Now, you need a lot of production. And if it's, Mekhi only gives you 15 yards rushing and Jalen Glover only gives you 20 yards rushing and Mike Mitchell can't get going, then we're having a different conversation. And then we're talking about the offensive line, all that kind of stuff. But there's no pressure on any of these guys in this group to go out there and have to carry the load. Nobody's being asked to be Zach Moss. They don't need a Zach Moss, to be honest. With all the weapons they have in the pass game, do you have to have a Zach Moss this year?
I think by the end of the year, you'll probably have one. I mean, the reality is, that's what I'm saying.
If you don't, that's okay too. See the difference between that and the quarterback position?
It's
where
so much better.
Cam has to be Cam, otherwise you're screwed.
No, it's actually exciting. The running back part is like, ooh, show me the guy. Show me the guy who's going to do it. That's exciting. That's fun because the guy who's handing it off is not in question, right? That's the part that makes you nervous, and that's not happening with the Utes. And so I think that's the part where fans should be extremely excited about what Thursday could bring. But at the same time, I don't know. Like, is it when it's an FCS opponent and you kind of go, all right, you kind of ease into this? The Utah fans have been, you start off the season last year with Florida up on the hill. Also a Thursday game, right?
Yeah.
That's very different than this. But what's crazy about Kyle Whittingham is I'm convinced his guys are just as juiced up about this game as they are even against those Florida team that comes in or a Michigan team that has come in before, right off the bat. So here's what Witt said about what they did learn last year, and you could dog this offense, and we kind of looked it back and went, how on earth did they even win 8 games? How did they go 8-4, having a bunch of games where they scored like twice or once?
Remember the UCLA game?
Oh my goodness!
Oh my eyes! Oh, they still sting from that.
And then they ended up having the same thing, the same score, 14-7 in the bowl game. They ended up losing that one.
Yeah,
but they scored 7 points against Oregon State in that loss up there in Corvallis. I mean, there were so many moments where you go, the
Baylor
what?
Game. Oh my gosh!
I can't believe we even tried to watch that last week when we were at the Dish Pros.
Oh.
We're like, that should be a good one. Let's remind ourselves.
Yeah.
And I was like,
it was not a good one.
Somebody turn this. We don't need to watch it. It's on demand.
If there's a Utah Utes Classic, they're not going to show that game.
Regardless, Kyle Whittingham is a student of the game, and he hopes that his players are too. And he goes, hey, you got to learn something from what happened last year.
Everybody was disappointed last year. We used that as motivation during the offseason to get bigger, stronger, more durable, which comes with that. And looking forward to being the team that we know we can be. Last year, we were off the pace and had some things to overcome, but that's not that uncommon in college football. I mean, you go through years where you're not as fortunate injury-wise as other, and just something you got to deal with. But right now, we're in a good place, and if we can continue to keep the quarterback upright for the course of the season, then that's going to be a big plus for us.
What a luxury to be 8-4 and be disappointed in a season, right? Here's what he said.
That's where they're at.
That's where they are as a program, and they'll be right back at it this year. Here's what he said also about they do recognize that a game like Thursday is is huge for you to be able to not just get your guys going, but also get a bunch of guys in and get some game reps for some backups who don't necessarily see the field all the time.
We did more this fall camp of running simultaneous drills. So, like, for example, we have the team period that's maybe 12 minutes, 15 minutes long. Instead of just one group going against the other group, we have two complete sets going on simultaneously, and that has really been enhanced by the rule change where everybody can coach now. Before, you ran out of coaches and you didn't have enough supervision and enough eyeballs on the drills as they were happening to make them as effective as they needed to be. But with analysts and everybody else being able to pitch in and coach, that has opened up a lot of opportunity for getting a lot more done during practice.
And during this game, you're going to see a lot of names that, and I think people are crossing their fingers. Boy, the Wilson clan probably excited as anybody, right? To be able to jump in and go, hey, let's get our kid his first college football touchdown throw or run or whatever it might be. To be able to have that, to see flashes of the brilliance. The quarterback spot at Utah isn't just about having that stability of Cam Rising when he's healthy and the winning kind of attitude, what he brings. It's also being able to see a guy like Isaac Wilson and go, oh, yeah, the program might be in some pretty darn good hands for the next few years.
Give him some reps. You want to really do well in this game right out of the gate. You don't want to let Southern Utah hang around and give them hope. Utah has things they need to accomplish in this game, and one of them is giving reps to Isaac Wilson. You need to make sure that he gets those first game jitters out in a situation that isn't going to have a game on the line, because eventually you might have to turn to him. He's your backup quarterback, and your starter has an injury history. So you need to have him ready to go, and so giving him a chance to play in the second half of this Southern Utah game would be invaluable. Mm-hmm. And he's capable. I'm really high on Isaac Wilson. You know why? I mean, I've covered him in high school. We've seen him do his thing. I felt like he was going to win the backup job when he came here. He's done the work. It's a valuable opportunity for him to get some reps because they may have to turn to him at some point. You don't want to talk about that until it happens, but when you do have to turn to him, you want him to be comfortable and ready, and that's part of the process of getting him ready.
We'll come back. We've got more to go right around the corner. More to go, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's a Thursday night opener for the Utes as they welcome in Southern Utah to Rice-Eccles Stadium. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. It is a beautiful Monday. The very first week. We're not in week 0 anymore, JJ. We didn't have to pretend like we loved everything that was going on with Florida State and Georgia Tech facing off in Dublin.
Oh, you didn't stay up until after midnight to watch Hawaii beat Delaware State?
Did Delaware State
You're
have
not
a full,
true sicko.
Did Delaware State have a full team?
I don't even.
Did they end up with a full team?
Know. Somebody was there. They played the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, I felt bad for the it's a hen, right? But it's the color of a hen.
You got the wrong Delaware.
Oh, sorry.
The Delaware State team is the Hornets.
Okay,
the University of Delaware are the Blue Hens.
What was the
alma mater of Joe Flacco?
Joe Flacco. Not that I didn't pay a lot of attention to it, but what ended up being the final because I went to sleep?
Was it 35-14?
They pulled away.
How come I know that?
It was 35-14.
I'm a sicko.
Mm-hmm. You are. I was disappointed that Hawaii only had 203 passing yards in the game.
Well, they took it easy on Delaware State.
Well,
it was a long trip.
You've got to go. It was a 10.5-hour flight. I think we already established that.
But it's paradise.
It is.
We all want to go to Hawaii.
And we'll be there. I'm going to be there. Yeah, I'm going to be there.
Yeah, I'm going to be there.
Oh, my goodness.
I want to go to Hawaii.
I forgot that we've got some Doobie Brothers tickets to give away this week. I can't wait.
I better hear some Yamo be there by the end of the day. That's all I'm going to say.
I know. Hey,
that's all I'm going to say.
Well, that's on Win Ticket Wednesday, though. But I did find a Yacht Rock version of Enter Sandman this week. We're
playing that too, right?
On Instagram. I don't know who made it. Some sicko freaking made it. So I'm going to send that to Jeremy. We'll rejoin with Enter Sandman as Soft Rock. At some point.
Oh, not just Soft Rock.
Yacht Rock.
Yacht Rock.
Yeah.
like Christopher Cross.
Hey, get on your boat loafers and let's get ready to
sail away.
Oh my gosh! All right, let's get into some more college football. Week 0, yes, some actual action that happened, an actual conference game between Georgia Tech and Florida State. Nominate your youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit that nomination, kslsports.com/contest. Listen every Thursday. JJ and I read off those winners, and we celebrate the efforts of those volunteers. The team moms, the guy who puts all the names on the back of the jerseys at no cost to you and your family, or the extra coaches that come out and spend extra time to teach your kids some technique on that new position that they're learning. I'm telling you, there are so many coaches out there that do a phenomenal job across every sport. We've had lacrosse coaches. We've had soccer. We've had football. We've had basketball. We've had baseball. All of these different sports, it doesn't matter what it is. There's a youth sports volunteer in your area that does a phenomenal job. You can nominate them, kslsports.com/contests. Let's honor them. They get a $50 gift card courtesy of Hercules Credit Union, and then $200 to Beehive Meals. So it pays to be the Hercules Hero of the Week, literally. And let's honor those people. Most of the time, they don't care about any recognition. That's why they volunteer.
Let's get some Beehive Meals in the hands of people that really deserve it.
Yes. KSLSports.com/contests, and then nominate your youth sports volunteer for the Hercules Hero of the Week. All right. It was a strange week 0. Georgia Tech came right out and got the W against Florida State. I think Florida State and I think Coach Norvell are in a weird spot. Georgia Tech isn't a slouch, right? But Florida State is not the team that they were last year. Florida State is decidedly I'm telling you, though, this is good for the Big 12. You need the ACC to be a little bit weak. If there's going to be a conference, you want to be the power third conference. You want to be that third conference that might sneak in a second team to the college football playoff. So teams like Florida State, teams like Miami, teams like Clemson, throwing an extra loss here and there during the season so that they're not in the conversation about being a second team from that conference in. I'm okay with it. And it was a weird game. Like, it was a strange. I mean, it was funny to watch. Joe Tessitore on TV. I don't think he was drunk, but he definitely had some Guinness that he was drinking.
In Ireland, you can get drunk just by breathing in the oxygen there.
They were.
Did you see Pat McAfee on game day?
They were.
Oh boy.
They were passing around. These Guinness stouts to the cameraman.
Can you imagine doing that in Provo? Are Joe Tess and Mr. Palmer, Mr. Bachelor, coming to Provo to a game this year?
Yeah, I guess he's not as Christian as Tim Tebow was.
Well,
Tim Tebow's like, not on TV. All right, I got my family watching.
I only drink my Guinness in private.
Not on TV. I'm going to get through this, and then I'll enjoy an adult beverage after.
Even the broadcasters are slamming Guinness over there. It was a party.
Hilarious.
Maybe Florida State had too much Guinness.
I love watching these games though in week 0 because you don't actually learn anything about these teams, right? I think we do. Nobody took away from that Georgia Tech is actually a threat in the ACC. What they took away from it was is Florida State's back to being fake again.
Oh, they're a paper tiger. That team sucks. DJ Uiagalelei is washed. I think he averaged like 0.3 yards per completion at one point in the game. Like, he was throwing the ball sideways the whole game.
So what team is he on then? Is he
started at Clemson.
He started at Clemson
with a lot of hype.
Went to Oregon State, obviously.
Did okay last year.
Is this only his third team?
This is his third team.
Well, congrats on whatever the NIL money was that you got for going there. But Florida State will decidedly not be in. By the way, they've lost now 2 straight. They lost the team that went undefeated last year at 13-0. They're now 0-2 in their last 2 actual football game matchups. Of course, one of them was by 60 to the Georgia Bulldogs. So there you go.
We should have saw this coming. Florida State has like 17 incoming transfers, a new quarterback. They're a completely different team.
I think we thought that DJ Uiagalelei was going to be a little bit more, show a little bit more of the flashes of who he was touch at Clemson, but maybe not.
We do this every year, And as a member of the media, I apologize on behalf of all the media.
We're such
But
dopes.
we overhype these brands, and they always disappoint. And Florida State has become one of those brands.
Oh, Jeremy claims he didn't. So does that mean you had some Skittles on the game?
No, I did my playoff and bowl projections.
Oh.
Left Florida State out.
Florida State gone.
Even before the game, obviously.
Of college football playoffs, of the playoff.
Yeah, they're not a college football
No,
playoff team.
no.
I know it's early. I know it's week 0, and we're bagging on them, but that's not a college football playoff team this year. I'm sorry. There's no way. There's better teams in the ACC. Miami's going to be better than them. And I know you don't love Miami's head coach.
No.
Miami's,
you do?
Miami's
You're big-
got Cam Ward at quarterback.
You're
Who's
big
better
Mario.
than DJU.
You're a big Mario Cristobal guy.
Actually, I've had good interactions with
stand
them
that
at Pac-12. You have a different experience. That's
well,
okay.
I know. Maybe it's because I wasn't wearing a suit and tie. He didn't take me as seriously, but he was like dismissing the hell out of us. Yeah, I don't know. What is this? My 10th Salt Lake City interview here? I'm all. Look into your
Coach, where's your Portland guys?
Look into your
where's
Mario.
the Portland radio station?
Look into your Mario Cristobal.
Oh.
Here. You're not going to be here much longer. You're going to be at your alma mater losing games there, so there you go. Haven't you taken something from Scott Frost? Return as a hero to your alma mater where you won national championships in the 90s, and then you roll up and actually then you become more hated than you were before you came into town? Speaking of guys coming back into town, Bronco Mendenhall. Hey, they covered. All right, Jeremy? They covered. All right? I think by the end of the week last week, it was 13.5 points. Did you see that? It actually had moved. I don't know what happened. All of Jeremy's degenerate gambling friends all got on board with. I think we all knew that at the very least Montana State was going to show up with as much talent or would probably win this game. I didn't think it was going to be a 2.5 touchdown or a 2 touchdown win, which it wasn't. So New Mexico covered, but they did blow a double-digit lead to start off the era of Bronco Mendenhall in New Mexico.
Think about what you just said. Coach. New Mexico lost at home to an FCS team, but they covered. How bad are you when you lose to an FCS team at home and you covered?
Yep.
Wow.
I just
what a game that was, though. That was fun.
We should have pulled some. We should have pulled his full post-game press conference.
I'm Bronco Mendenhall, the new football coach, and I'm the newest Wahoo.
Yeah, you are.
Newest Lobo.
So Bronco had his first press conference this week, the first week 1 press conference, and they play Arizona this week, so it doesn't get any easier.
Oof.
They go to Tucson, and they're already 0-1 on the year, and the Arizona Wildcats and Brent Brennan, his era, fires up this weekend. So we'll see. I mean, Bronco Mendenhall, he already said that they have an uphill battle. But I will tell you, they brought in a lot of freaking good coaches. So
I really respect a lot of those guys on that staff, and I respect the heck out of Bronco.
Yes,
he'll get that thing turned around.
You will not see them down for long.
This is their. I mean, New Mexico's been so bad for so
they're
long.
bringing and they're
17 years without a bowl game.
Yeah, and they're rolling in there too. By the way, with a bunch of guys that aren't Broncos guys. So it's going to take a minute. All right. So I'm hopeful for Bronco and his guys, but they did do exactly. When was the last time Vegas was like, yeah, that FCS team is gonna beat this FBS team, and then it totally happened.
It might happen on Saturday.
Oh man, I'm praying. No, Jeremy, don't give him that look. It's not Utah and
not that one.
Not that one on Thursday.
Not the one in Provo.
We're talking about the one that we're crossing our fingers for. That
our good friend, Coach Prime.
Do you believe? Do you believe now?
What's up, boss? You believe now? You hold on.
Yeah, no. They're kicking out reporters from the press conference. Although he's not kicked out. The Denver Post guy's not kicked out, right?
He just can't ask questions.
Can't ask any questions. He's got to put tape over his mouth.
He's got to sit there.
That's not good. That's not a good look for.
Sit there and be a good boy.
That's not good. That's not a good look for Coach Prime. But yes, this weekend you've got all that. Plus SMU and Nevada.
This was especially interesting for BYU.
That old rivalry. I mean, so last year, wasn't there a Texas Tech player that did somebody get kicked out of that BYU game for spitting? Somebody spit on someone last year. Do you recall this?
Something happened.
Something happened along those lines. And it was the SMU player this year who got kicked out, right? SMU spitting on.
It was Jaden York was
Did he
ejected for spitting
he got
in
ejected.
the face.
Yes.
Was it Tyler Batty?
It was Tyler Batty. And he sold it too. It was like It was like the magic loogie from Seinfeld. Remember that?
Yeah. Who was the spitter? Was there a second spitter?
Was there a second spitter in the bushes? That is one magic loogie. So SMU, I don't know if we learned anything about SMU this weekend. I don't know if
I learned a couple things.
Do you feel like that they're maybe a little bit overrated going into that? Because BYU is not going to be favored in that game.
They're vulnerable.
Week 2 probably.
I think that BYU's not going to be favored next week for that game, but they have issues, and but at the same time you also saw the talent. That quarterback can spin it. Stone is really good, and the tight end Maryland, 8 catches, 162 yards and a touchdown. That is a matchup problem for everybody. Especially for BYU. How are they going to slow that kid down? They have weapons, but up front, I think BYU can win that matchup. If BYU wins the matchup up front, they're going to win that game in Dallas. But if it's even or SMU gets an edge there, and they're able to throw the football the way they can, I mean, this SMU team can light up. You saw how quickly once they got things going there, 16 points in the fourth quarter, and now Nevada made it easy on them. They botched the fair catch kickoff and then allowed the safety, and then their offense just kind of, wet the bed. But 16 points in a quarter, that SMU team's very explosive, and they can score quickly. And so BYU is going to have to be prepared for that and play 4 quarters. You don't play 4 quarters against SMU on the road, it's going to be tough.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. We've got more around the corner. And we just have tons to talk about today, man. It's a Monday, and we don't even the week 0 stuff's not even getting us through, all right? But what is getting us through is prepping you for all the games that are going to happen this weekend. We'll get you ready for all that. Our Weekend Warriors are next. Stay with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best college football coverage in Utah is on the KSL Sports Zone. Ready? It's a season-opening home game for the Aggies as they welcome Robert Morris to Maverick Stadium. Your home for all the play-by-play coverage of Aggie football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Happy football week, everyone. Hey, by the way, you go from 120-point performance 2 weeks ago to last week's defensive battle between Farmington and Bountiful. What was up with that, man?
I don't know. I could have used a couple more touchdowns on Friday. Like, hey, let's get in the end zone, guys. Let's go.
Some special teams.
Hey, the defense is really good. Yeah, a lot of well, the wind whipping around at 50 miles per hour played havoc. Although it allowed for a 50 and a 52-yard field goal in the second quarter.
Look at that,
or first and second quarter. So there you go. More touchdowns, please.
Game Night Live this week. We're going to be down at Lehigh hosting Bingham.
Yes.
The Bingham Miners hoping to get back on track.
They won over the weekend down at Crimson Cliffs.
Yes.
But 1-1 now in the season.
It was good. They were
it was a big test for both teams. Lehigh gets to test themselves against a real big physical team, while Bingham, are they going to be able to compete with some of the teams like Lehigh and Corner Canyon, and, Lone Peak, American Fork? We'll find out.
Tough. All right. Well, our Weekend Warriors brought to you by Gillette Heating and Air Conditioning. Right now, get seasonal maintenance done on your furnace, $59 only. GilletteHeatingHVAC.com to make an appointment. That's GilletteHVAC.com. I know you were like me. You got some of that. I opened the door yesterday at my house. Had the breeze rolling through. It's perfect, man.
Yeah, until your door slammed shut.
Well, I took measures. We have 7 kids. We have 7 kids. I put one in front of the door. Just sat him right there. Boom.
You had enough kids to make sure you had a doorstop when you needed one?
Right here, buddy. Stay right here the rest of the afternoon. Don't you move. I gotta enjoy that breeze. Okay.
You were born for this.
That's exactly right. You're such an important part of this family. Now sit right here. So, Weekend Warriors, Georgia Tech, of course, winning with that game-winning field goal, a top 10 win over Florida State. Although top 10 win, come on. I always wonder, right?
Florida State's not a top 10 team.
No.
There's just no way.
New Mexico spoiling Broncos' return to Albuquerque. I think Bronco knew. He sort of saw the writing on the wall, but that staff will get it figured out. And then
But Montana State scored 21 points in the fourth quarter? to win
yeah,
that?
that's not good.
That
That's
was
not
awesome.
good. Not good for Bronco and his calling card defense situation. Is Brian Urlacher Jr. going to roll through the program at some point here, or do we?
He's not going to walk through that door.
Let's get Brian Urlacher the third. Get him going on.
Does he have a full head of hair yet? I know he's trying to post-retirement is addressing that issue.
All right, but that's what I'm saying. Does he have a kid? He probably would. Oh, we have the call of the actual. Okay, here was. Is it in? Does it have an accent, or is it just Joe Tessitore, a little bit sloshed? All right, let's take a listen. Here's what it sounded like when Georgia Tech won that game.
44 yards away to do it. He got it. And the Yellow Jackets did it. Upset in Cairns. They found themselves a pot of gold at the end of their Irish rainbow. Number 10 Florida State goes down in Dublin. Welcome back to college football.
I just assume because they just kept showing Joe Tessitore with a Guinness in his hand. I just assumed that call was too a little bit slobbery, holding up a drink.
At minimum, he was buzzed on that call.
I know. I love Tessitore. My kids love that Holy Moly show with him and Rob Riggle.
Well, now he's joining WWE full time.
Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, he's good. But yes, I think he was wasted. And then here's what it sounded like in Los Angeles this weekend: Shohei Ohtani quietly getting into the ranks of the 40 and 40 club and doing it in style with the grand slam.
High fly ball, right field. Hit pretty deep on the track series at the wall. It's gone! It is gone! And it is over! Shohei Ohtani joins the 40-40 club in the most grand fashions. A walk-off grand slam.
You're pitching to that guy? You're throwing the ball to that guy with the bases juiced? Jeremy, you were there at Dodger Stadium, right?
I was there. Yes, it was amazing to see.
Did you see it, or were you like in the? I mean, Dodger Stadium is
on the
not
third
really
baseline. He looked
Really?
pretty close. Weren't quite sure if he cleared it, and it did.
Jeez, awesome. That's a good place.
Why
to
aren't
be.
we talking about this more?
I know.
I remember when I was a kid and Jose Canseco was the first to enter the 40-40 club. It was a big deal. I had baseball cards with 40-40 club on them.
We had both stolen base and the home run in the game.
Oh, he did both in the game. See, I knew that. That's crazy.
Is it a problem for baseball that we're not talking about these significant milestones?
How about that? And we actually have like another home run king, like blasting shots.
I recognize the irony that we are talking about it right now, but we're not talking about it.
No, I know. And it's not going to get any better because college football is going to fire up and we're going to barely think about baseball.
Exactly.
Especially because my freaking Mariners blew up again this year, as usual.
We're talking about Montana State, New Mexico,
Yeah,
not
man.
40-40 and Aaron Judge hitting 50 and 51.
Not the 66 and 65 Seattle Mariners 4.5 games out of the wild card. I'm not thinking about it. I haven't thought about it.
You going to be all right?
I haven't thought about it extensively over the weekend. Scott Servais, screw you, buddy. Glad you're fired. I haven't thought about it at all. All right.
Your home for the best college football coverage in Utah is on the KSL Sports Zone. Ready? The Cougars kick off the 2024 season with a home battle against Southern Illinois. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
So that's why it's listed as an or. So you keep asking the questions. We have a plan, guys. We know what we're doing. We've been through this before, and we're going to be just fine.
That was Kalani Sitake. I don't know if you heard
As
him.
close as he'll ever get to pulling a Nick Saban and telling everybody to
Quit asking! We've been through this before, guys. You can keep asking the question. I'm going to keep answering like this. That's why there's an or on there. I assumed it was Mitch Harper that just kept hounding him with the question. So just assume it was Mitch. Hey, Mitch, it's got an or on there. You know what that means.
So
You've
Mitch has broken him. Is that what you're saying? We're going to blame Mitch for this?
Well, no, Mitch just does not. Here's the thing you know about Mitch. He doesn't get pissed, frustrated, none of that. He just asks questions. He covers the team and he knows how to do it. And so all these guys, they're asking the questions because they have to. They're not doing it because they want to get – they're not trying to catch Kalani in anything, all right? Although it would be nice for him to go, and it's great. I mean, look, when Jake runs out there – what? What did I say? You guys will be just as surprised when Jake runs out. Or Gary. Or. Everything's or. Did you look at by the way, did you look?
A lot of ors on there.
Oh, my gosh. Like, the quarterbacks are not even you don't even scratch the surface on the ors on BYU's depth chart with the quarterback. It's everything. All right. We've got tons to get through on the program. Welcome into the show. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar perfect for anybody who needs a quick, tasty, nutritious boost. I'm interested to see how this thing goes. Honestly, let's get to it. We'll hear some more of this Kalani sound here, so let's get into the cut as we always do this hour right now.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If you thought that was the only mention of the position quarterback during the press conference today, you're dead wrong. Here's what Kalani said about being ready or not about making that quarterback starting announcement call.
Yeah, I think you guys have the depth chart, so we kind of have an idea. We know our plan. We know what we're going to be doing, just not ready to tell everybody our game plan yet. So we have an idea of what we're going to do and how we're going to execute our offense and what we're going to do in all three phases, offense, defense, and special teams. So,
Kalani's frustrated. I am too. Hey, Coach, we are too. It's hard for us to talk about it. You think it's hard for you to talk about it? Your press conferences last 14 minutes. I got to be on here for 3 hours trying to figure it out with JJ. All right? So, look, we get it too. We're wanting to know some answers too. That's why we're asking. Here's what he said about why he's kind of holding back here. I think at some point, I don't know, in your head, JJ, do you think that they have the quarterback in mind who's going to be the guy? They just don't want to talk about it right
100%.
now?
100%. No. Here, do you want me? I can give you my idea what's going on.
I want to hear the rollout. What do you think is going to happen?
This is just me piecing things together, reading everything we've read about the segments that could be viewed, what's been going on. Here's what I think is going to happen on Saturday. Jake Retzloff's going to start. Gary Bohannon will play. You're going to see both quarterbacks on Saturday.
Well,
I do think it's significant that it said Jake Retzloff or Gary because Jake's first on the list. Jake's going to start.
Okay.
And I'm not reporting anything.
I'm trying to think of an alphabetical situation. Maybe it was
definitely not alphabetical.
Definitely not alphabetical.
R is not before B.
Reverse alphabetical is what I was saying.
I'm not saying it's just that. There's a lot of other things piecing together. We've heard Mitch talk about how Retzloff has looked really good the last week. I don't know. Well, I'm trying to piece it together, but that's what I think is going to happen. But the fact that I think the fact that you're going to see both tells you that they're not 100% sure, but they definitely know they're going to start. They definitely have a plan, and that's going to be the plan.
Well,
you'll see both.
Kalani says he's not going to talk about whether or not you're going to see both. Here's what he said about rotating quarterbacks during the Southern Illinois game.
Yeah, I think we're planning to do a lot of different things. We have a lot of options, and the goal is to get the win. Can't tell you how that's going to go yet right now on Monday, but we know we have an opportunity. We can win with more than just one person at quarterback. We have a number of them that can play and that we can get victories with. And so that goes with all the positions. We feel really good about the depth there, and quarterback just happens to be a deep one for us as well. I was really proud with how the quarterbacks handled all the camp and feel confident going into the season with our group.
Is there a little bit of like a thing creeping up in your mind where it's like Kalani wants to give a massive middle finger to everybody who's been wondering about this thing way too much and go, I'll throw another quarterback in there too. I'll throw a third quarterback in there. Yeah, I don't have any problem with it. I could see a bunch of different guys being able to play. This is just it's game week. It's been a frustrating long process. It's not fun to have to deal with this. But we do forget what our feelings were like every time BYU's had a quarterback situation where they don't have the guy called yet And it's been mixed results, man. And nobody wants to guess wrong. Nobody wants to see a team guess wrong. But it's an interesting position that Kalani's put his team in. I mean, that's not true. That it's exactly whatever it is. I think you're probably right. If there's going to be a way that they do it, they're going to have to start one of these guys. Might as well make it Jake Retzlaff if he's been the one that's got the edge performing-wise. I just don't want it to turn into what we saw last year with Utah, right? Where it's like, yeah, Bryson Barnes is getting the start, but you'll see Nate Johnson get a lot of plays in there too. I mean, you saw split reps. You saw him like these planned quarterback runs and things like that when Nate Johnson would come in. But it ultimately was a freaking mess. That's not what you want. You want some consistency. I get it.
100%. And I think that's the concern. I think you sense Kalani's frustration. I don't know what all the frustration is about, obviously. I'm not going to try to answer that for him. But I think this is one of those things that's frustrating, is they probably don't feel 100% confident with the position right now, but they know what they're going to go with. It's not ideal. If you end up playing two quarterbacks in that game, that's fine. It's Southern Illinois, who, by the way, we haven't talked about Southern Illinois. They're a good program. They've beat 3 FBS opponents since 2019, including Northwestern 2 years ago. This is a giant killer, and BYU needs to be on alert. And I think that's a lot of what's going on with Kalani. Is like, okay, we're coming right out of the gate with this team. I'm watching film. The more I'm learning about this, we got to be ready to go, and I'm not sure if we are. And I'm still taking questions about our quarterback. Like, I'm trying to focus on this team. I don't want to embarrass our program. I don't want to put a lot of our guys' jobs in jeopardy by losing to this team. I think that there's more anxiety in this one than there will be next week. Because they're not expected to go to SMU and win. And I think you know what else I think is going on here, Alex? I think him and that whole group, and we'll talk to Connor Pay this week. We'll ask Connor Pay. I think this group is pissed. They're pissed off that we don't think they're going to be good. I believe that. I believe this team and this program has a chip on its shoulder right now that we, the media, and even probably fans or whoever, doesn't think they're going to be very good.
Yeah.
Meaning bowl wins, like go to a bowl, winning season, all that stuff. They've heard it. They've seen the graphic on Twitter going around that their quarterback room is ranked 16th in the conference.
Sure.
And they want to go out and prove people wrong. And so you have this angst going on with this group, and we'll see if that comes out in a productive way on Saturday and beyond.
Well, quarterback is obviously 1A when it comes to trying to figure out who that person is going to be. But there are depth battles basically at every position. I mean, like we were saying, go to KSLSports.com. You can see the depth chart that was put up there. Mitch Harper, our BYU insider, fired off an article as soon as that thing was released. And it's kind of crazy because there are a lot of ors, right? There's a ton of ors. And I know they do this every week, and both Utah and BYU are very good at going, this person or this person, or, right? Because even at running back, it's like L.J. Martin or Hinckley Ropati. And then your backup is Miles Davis. Or you could have, look, at wide receiver, starting wideout, Chase Roberts or JoJo Phillips.
Really? Chase Roberts, your best receiver, is an or?
Your captain?
Stop that. Stop it.
Cody Hagan, by the way, Cody Hagan listed on the depth chart there.
I love Cody Hagan.
I know.
He's going to be a star at BYU when the time's right.
Speaking of, and Darius Lassiter or Keelan Marion. Tay Nakua is also on that list.
How about Tay Nakua making the depth chart?
I love it.
Freshman out of Timpview. We all know who his brothers are. We get it. I don't have to. Every time we mention Tay Nakua, I don't have to mention Puka. I won't do that.
You just did.
But
Cody Epps or Parker Kingston. Here's what's good. Keanu Hill's listed as your number 1 tight end. All right.
There's no or.
There are at the other. There are ors. There are ors after Keanu
at the
Hill.
bottom.
Right. It's fine.
Four tight ends on your tight end.
I will
depth
say
chart.
you don't have any ors except for one on the offensive line, though. So.
And that probably matters the most.
Yeah, sure. But you've got solid spots right there. You don't have some of these other ors, but the ors that come in, and it's just it's exactly what we get every year. The first depth chart kind of doesn't mean anything, and that's part of the reason that Kalani brought up what he did, which is figuring out playing at these positions, really the thing that they're going to be able to know the most. I mean, this is essentially no, I don't want to say it like that. It's not a preseason game because these games count. But there is something to be said about live fire and how there are going to be some guys still battling for some positions. He says that because they want to have depth at every position, but you've got to figure it out in a real game like this weekend coming up.
Well, I'm concerned about all of them because there's some veteran players that are coming back and some new players are going to get opportunities. I mean, we've had scrimmages and things like that, but until you get it when it really counts in a game, you really don't know how they're going to respond. They're all concerning to me as a head coach. That's what I've focused on, but it's also why our focus is to get depth and make sure that depth is quality. I think we'll be able to count on a lot of players to make plays in all different positions.
Okay. So you got to get these guys in actual game reps. That might be where the finality of it. I mean, do you think that there's still kind of this version of a tryout, so to speak, at these positions in a game in a game week like this?
100%.
There's some positions where it's like, no, every week you're going to be on the ball here. If you're not
getting it done against Southern Illinois, we got to find somebody we can trust against SMU on the road.
Yeah.
The stakes get higher every week for BYU, every single week. Even going from SMU to Laramie, the stakes are going to be higher because we've talked about it. That is a classic trap game. You're going to a place that's very tough to win at before you have to take on Kansas State to open up your Big 12 schedule. So every week from here on out, the stakes get higher and higher, and you got to have guys that are up to the challenge. And that's the biggest test for this program right now is they want to find out if they have the depth they need to compete at this level. It's going to be tested week in and week out. Nobody can rest on their laurels and get comfortable because they need guys firing at 100%. They can't have a lull like last year. And it felt like you got to a certain point last year where they kind of hit a wall, right? It started at Kansas. They got the nice Texas Tech win, and then it started again, right? So can't have that this year. They've got to show that they're not going to have that.
All right, here's what else Kalani said about another position group, the wide receivers. We just mentioned a couple of those. And here's what he said about the depth at the wideout.
You look at the numbers and the positions listed, we can go a lot of different personnel groups. And so we've shown it on film. I'm not giving away any advantage by saying that we have the opportunity to play with more than just 2 or 3 wideouts at a time. And so looking at what JoJo's done, I think he deserves the respect to be listed on there. And we could name 17 type of starters on and in regards to the personnel groups. So I just think that keeps it a lot cleaner that way.
The next one's the running back spot. And that's been obviously a question because LJ Martin, everybody's like really wondering, okay, so is he actually healthy? Here's what Kalani said about the availability of LJ Martin this weekend.
Yep, LJ will be ready to go, and that's why he's on the list, and we're excited to see him play. So this is sophomore year. He feels like it's a different player. Last year, he's trying to learn the offense. This year, he knows it already, and he's teaching the younger guys. He's teaching the freshmen. So he's got so much ability, and him with Folau, with Hinckley, and with Miles, and with the newcomers, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch those guys go.
Yep, that's why he's on the depth chart, JJ. Look at the piece of paper I gave you.
He's ready. Let's go. Go show what you can do.
I do think he's going to be the guy, and I think he'll be the workhorse. And
well, the reason why we were so concerned and asking because we knew they needed him.
Mm-hmm.
You need stars in this league, and look at the running backs in the Big 12. You could argue that it's got the best running back depth in the country. You got the Doak Walker Award winner, and he may not be the best running back in the conference this year.
Yep.
So, yeah, you need L.J. Martin to be healthy. You need him to be a star because you're going up against other teams that have running backs that are stars.
I just wonder if a guy like L.J. Martin is still a little bit banged up. You can't feel good about the fact that it just you haven't seen like a full speed situation, or at least that we're aware of, right?
If he can barely go. And you'll learn on Saturday.
Yeah,
we'll learn on Saturday. And if there's any issues, we're like, well, come on, man. Like, this is why we were asking. But I don't anticipate there will be. I think LJ's going to have a nice game on Saturday.
Sure.
They told us he's ready, he's healthy, so that's what we're going to expect. And if he doesn't, there's going to be disappointment, and there's going to be more questions.
Man, that run game, that's as big or bigger than the question mark at quarterback that looms.
You're probably right. We're focused on quarterback because it's such an important position. But if BYU can't run the football,
If they run for 91 yards against on 26
against an
carries
FCS opponent, I don't
yeah.
care which. I don't care if it's Montana or Montana State or North Dakota State. You got to run for 150 plus against that team, and if they don't, it's going to be here we go again.
Yep.
And you don't want that. You want a clean slate. You want this team to go out there and take care of business and kick their butt and get ready for SMU because it's a monster game the week after. If they struggle with Southern Illinois, oh boy. Which is why Kalani's a little on edge because he knows they're a threat.
Well, we're going to be doing our weekly Players Club interviews with Connor Pay from BYU and with Mekhi Bernard from Utah. Excited to have these guys on board with us this year. We know exactly what we're going to get. Pretty much with both these guys, we've been able to. I know you've been able to interview Mekhi a bunch of times. We've had him on this show a bunch, but now we're going to do it on a weekly basis. Then, of course, Connor returns for another year. After, by the way, being named team captain was Connor Pay today. So
easy choice.
Good stuff. All right, we will take another break here. When we do come back, we also do have a couple things to jump into. I've got two things to bring up. Media and coaches, we brought it up because, you hear Kalani's attitude. You hear how some different – I say his attitude, but the reality is that he's as fed up as you and I are and all the fans are. Come on, man, let's just get to this
I love
thing.
salty Kalani.
I know.
I want more salty
We don't
Kalani.
get enough of it. He's too nice.
Great.
He's too nice. We're going to ask him, hey, when you join the program, will you just get pissed at JJ a little bit? We love that. It makes us feel good. So we'll talk about that.
Come at me, bro.
Your home for the best college football coverage in Utah is on the KSL Sports Zone. Ready? It's a Thursday night opener for the Utes as they welcome in Southern Utah to Rice-Eccles Stadium. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Curie, Jeremiah Jensen. Happy football week to you, everybody. Got some golf up on the screen here, the replay of the old BMW Championship. We are desperate for...
What? Why?
Oh, you know.
No, why?
Why are we watching it?
Why is that on the screen?
It was the only app that I got to work.
It's not June. We can do better than this.
Oh, no. That's the thing is I was trying to see I wanted to see the replay. I wanted to see the replays of, all the games that were on over the weekend. And
I'll fix it during the break.
ESPN's shutting me out, man.
I'll fix it.
Okay. I'm not going to kick some golf out of bed, though. Come on.
FedEx Cup playoffs are great, but, that's old news, man. Let's watch some football. It's game week.
I found myself, I'm such a college football whore this time of year. I just need it. Have to have it so bad. I am diving into Florida A&M and Norfolk State on Saturday.
Careful how you say that.
I know you gotta be careful. I don't want to be.
How do you properly pronounce?
I don't want to say Norfolk and be that guy, but at the same time, it's at least safe.
That's not how they pronounce it over there.
No. Nope, you'll get in trouble.
Don't say that out loud on the radio.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, it's a fun time to be a college football fan because it's the start of a new year. We're excited about it. Tons going on. But yes, exciting stuff. By the way, by way of announcement, I'm just reading what's in front of me, but I, of course, have a dog in this fight. 1st and 12. It is a year number 2 that Mitch Harper and I will be hosting this Big 12 show that will play both on KSL News Radio and on the KSL Sports Zone on Sundays, 10 to noon. We give you an entire breakdown of the Saturday that was, or the weekend that was in college football in the Big 12. And, of course, this year being the first one that we have both Utah and BYU in the conference at the same time. Last year was a ton of fun breaking all these teams down. You will not get a better download of the entire conference any other place than on 1st and 12. Mitch Harper and myself break it down. As soon as those games are over, we get sound for you every week, all of that. So 10 to noon, brought to you by Macy's Grocery Store. Get the freshest fruits and vegetables from local farms and your favorite local brands. 1st and 12 brought to you by Macy's. Happy shopping. All right, Dabo Swinney. Dabo last year famously got ambushed on his weekly radio show. Now, if you are a coach in the South of a college football team and you have a weekly radio show that takes calls, you should not be ambushed because you know how passionate the fan base is. I'm not saying you are going to get a grumpy fan or two. And then when they got to 4-4 last year, I think it was Shane in Spartanburg who sparked a very pissy Dabo Swinney after everything was said and done. It was interesting because he got on there. This guy goes on and was like, what's your problem? You get paid all this money. You can't do this. And Dabo went off on this guy. And so, look, I don't know if you're 12 years old. I don't know if you're 30. I don't know what it is. Don't tell me how much money I make. I'm not going to be talked to like a 12-year-old. That whole rant actually kind of got things going. I'm not going to put it all on that, but Dabo got a fire under him, and the team finished with 5 straight wins to get to 9-4 on the season and to get themselves to the ACC championship game. And that's probably why we are talking about this team is still being a contender in the ACC. But Dabo Swinney has announced he will not be taking any more calls. His radio show will be just a straightforward, back and forth, semi-scripted, previously screened questions. That's what we've gotten to. Everything is a previously screened question for these coaches nowadays, it seems like. But
it's just PR.
I was a little bit grumpy about it just because it gets now look, we've gotten way far away from coaches being called and live questions being asked. But Dabo Swinney and so many other college coaches, I don't think they owe the fans anything. I'm not in that camp yet, but it is hard to get $9 million a year and then tell the fans, like, screw you, man, I'm not answering any more questions. I'm not answering any more questions. And then you've got Coach Prime at Colorado, who has now doubled down on the shutting out of the Denver Post. What's this guy's name? Keeler? Sean Keeler, from the columnist from the Denver Post. First of all, you can not answer his question while he asks his question. He has done that a bunch of times. But I'm just saying, you can BS your way through anything. But the point that Colorado and the athletic department of Colorado wanted to make was that they feel like they're being attacked by this guy. They're going to let him in the building, but they're not going to allow him to ask any questions. That comes across as you being the big bad guy, though. The bad guy is not the lone columnist from the newspaper that covers the team. It's an entire athletic department run by a guy who feels like he's on the verge of being a little bit of a dictator in that program, if not already. So for me, Dabo Swinney not interacting with the fans anymore on his radio show, Prime not wanting to do interviews with certain media guys, it all just comes across as being selfish, entitled, which I guess is where these coaches have been for a long, long time.
You know how much these coaches make, right?
Dabo's about $9.5 million. Prime is in that $5 to $6 million.
And Prime already had a fortune before he even started doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these guys are multimillionaires, and you think they have interest or they care about what Sean in Spartanburg thinks?
Well, obviously Dabo does.
Or Barry in Boulder thinks?
Dabo.
Or what? They don't feel like they have to answer to Sean from the Denver Post.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It comes
He's
across
Coach Prime.
It comes across as being so spoiled.
It is. They are spoiled. They're multimillionaires. When you're rich and you're powerful and you can control things, you will control them. And that's what all these coaches are doing. They can control everything, and they try to control everything. And it feels like this is how they are. And you know what? That's fine. They've been put in that position. They've been put on that pedestal. They get paid that amount of money. They're worshipped. They're talked about. They receive all this praise from fans. Sometimes it's the other way around, but for the most part, Dabo Swinney is a hero in South Carolina.
Right.
We've talked to writers from Denver where we're like, Coach Prime took Colorado 4-8 after all that hype. That's not great. They're like, oh, no, you don't understand. They won one game before he got here.
Oh,
4 wins is amazing.
It's been great so far.
So we're sitting here like, gosh, why are these coaches acting like this? Well,
Right.
because they can.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how they control their program and control their narrative.
Right.
And they don't like somebody else taking control of that, whether it's a fan or a member of the media. So this is not a surprise. It's not going to change. And coaches are going to have more and more power the more money they're paid and the bigger college football gets. You don't have NFL coaches this arrogant and this control crazy. But that's the beast that's been born in college football, and that's where it's at.
Why is it so much more so in the college ranks?
Because in the NFL coaches are dealing with adults. And in college, they're not. These are young men, sometimes 18,
Oh, yeah, but the media are
19
adults.
years old.
But the media are adults. They're dealing with the adult media. Like, why can't they, I don't know. There's that part of me that goes, come on. Now, I get it, but it is technically part of your job description, okay? You and I have both been associated with coaches before in this building that have had parts of their contracts that were very specific of spending time with radio, with TV. And there was even times that they couldn't be bothered doing that. And by the way, fans that are listening out there, those coaches a lot of times were getting 6 figures just off of that part of their contract of showing up and doing a coach's show.
A coach I will not mention, I know for a fact, made $80,000 a year doing just the TV part of his coach's show.
And then there was the radio part,
and
too, that added another
He
chunk.
made it as difficult as possible.
Yeah.
And was as inaccessible as possible, despite getting that kind of money.
But
This is a long time ago. This is not recent.
No. And it's $80,000 a year in that, and then it was another however many thousands of dollars a year doing the radio part.
Exactly.
And then
start
guess
adding
what?
it up.
You start adding it up, and by the way, these aren't. It's not a lot of work. Okay.
You just show up. You just have to be
And by
accessible.
the way, if there's a guy hosting that coach's show, typically they're pretty. It's kind of a safe space.
100%. There's nobody out to get
Nobody's
you
trying to get you
on
to-
your coach's
Nope.
show, dude. But they're acting like they are.
Yeah.
They don't trust anybody.
I get it. You don't have to let the media into your little ring, your special little ring.
No.
But
we don't want to be in the ring.
It goes so much further for you, for us, for everybody if you're gracious about it for a minute. You know what I mean? Just do it for a second. Come on. Get this part over with.
It's one thing. You can be frustrated with the media. That's totally fine, and sometimes it's deserved. I'm not going to sit here and defend everybody in the media. There's a lot of stupid members of the media out there that do stupid things. Okay? It's totally fair to criticize us as well. But banning somebody and telling them they can't ask you questions, we know what that is, and that's not okay.
No.
What are you trying to hide, coach? What are you trying to hide?
I get it. Some of these
You're naturally going to become suspicious.
I get it. Some of these columnists are making a name for themselves off of this whole thing. But all this is doing is letting it happen more. Right?
He's giving
this dude power in a weird way. Just let him ask the question and then move right on. Give him the best answer you can. Don't be offended by everything. Come on, Coach Prime. Yep, so stay with us, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Your home for the best college football coverage in Utah is on the KSL Sports Zone. Ready? It's a season-opening home game for the Aggies as they welcome Robert Morris to Maverick Stadium. Your home for all the play-by-play coverage of Aggie football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Well, it shouldn't be this hard. Shouldn't be this hard to sign into a dadgum TV in this studio, all right? Hey, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Need an IT guy here, Stat.
I think somebody broke it.
It's football season. We can't have these
Can't
problems.
have it broken. Yeah, I've got to watch a replay, all right, of a football game that happened on Saturday. Otherwise, I'll be very unhappy, all right? Welcome back to the program. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Yes, it is your first week of college football this week of the 2024 season. A historic season, of course, because the college football playoff is going to have 12 teams in it. We're excited to see how that one plays out. I'm going to go ahead and say, check my watch here. Yep, Florida State has been eliminated. Florida State has been eliminated from playoff contention.
Not so fast, my friends.
Is that too early? I mean, I get
it's
it.
It's the new world of the 12-team playoff.
Yeah, you can lose a game.
And a lot of people would love to get Florida State back in the mix. Love it. Including Florida State. It's a big brand.
Yeah, it is.
But not a good start for the Seminoles. Not good.
Yeah,
I'm less concerned about them getting back in the mix. I'm not sure how good they are, period. That was not a good loss.
I don't think that there's a I mean there are a lot of guys out there who they hang their hat on what's going to happen with their team this year, and the good news is that Florida State, you're right. It's not, I don't look at that team and go, "Oh, for sure this is a team that just they gotta come back from this thing and they're gonna come back, and they were just caught flat-footed in Dublin. It was a long trip, blah blah blah." Last year, the year before that, for the history of college football, a loss like that would probably take you out. A loss to Georgia Tech in week 0 even would have been enough to have you be done almost in the ACC, because people are going to go, "Yeah, what about that loss against Georgia Tech?" That's a conference loss too.
Yes.
And so it's a tough one, but yeah, you're right. Now we can look at it and go, "All right, get back in this thing. Let's go." There are scenarios where Florida State we'd look at and go, "You know what? We threw them on the trash heap after they lost to Georgia Tech, and if they go 12-1, they could be there. They could absolutely be there. If they win the conference championship game, then they have to be there."
You know what? Miami, Clemson, NC State, they may not be that good either. So, yeah, Florida State could absolutely get in the mix because one of those teams is going to be in the playoff. Or there's actually a team that no one's talking about in the ACC that should, who I think actually might win the thing.
Don't say Miami.
I'm not going to say Miami.
Thank heavens.
I'm not going to say any of those that they're in
NC
the top
State.
25. No.
Oh, wait, hold on.
That's correct.
Virginia Tech?
Virginia Tech is the correct answer. Jeremy's not wrong.
You
turned that quick.
Wow.
Jeremy's been waiting to push
he
that
made
button.
an effort to turn that one around. He made a real effort for that one.
It's Virginia
That's been
Tech.
months in the making.
Because he had to wait months to actually hear something like that along those lines.
It's called a callback.
It's like, I guess Jeremy. Mine's more like, I guess we'll give that to Jeremy. Bummer. All right.
Virginia Tech is going to win the ACC. Take it to the bank.
All right. Very quickly, I did want to point out, if you were wondering, this is where we're at with sports now. The nation's #1 high school recruit is suing the North Carolina State Board of Education, citing that it is illegal to prevent him from getting endorsement deals in high school, which he's, of course, being offered. Faison Brandon, who is the #1 high school recruit in the entire country, offers from fill in the blank, everybody, okay? He's the #1 ranked recruit for the 2026 season, or the class of 2026. So you're talking about he's a junior this year, okay? And he'll be a senior next year, but he's already the #1 recruit for that 2026 class, and he has folks who are coming out of the woodwork to pay this kid, and they're willing to. This is where we've gotten high school recruits now are suing JJ over the name, image, likeness stuff.
And they're going to win because there's already court precedent.
Why wouldn't
you cannot deny an individual the right to profit off their name, image, and likeness. So stop trying.
Next stop, Little League Baseball. And the endorsement money off of
football.
that. Little League Football, Little League Baseball. Because honestly, if there's a kid that's popular enough in any of these sports who's getting enough pub, a company would be interested. That's what they do. And that's what NIL is supposed to be for.
It's called capitalism.
Come on.
Why are we upset about capitalism? These people are taking advantage of their fame and their opportunity.
Look,
they earned it.
Say what you will about
Let them make money off of it.
Say what you will about a kid making more money than you in high school as a high school recruit. What they don't want is to get wooed by They don't want these players to get wooed by the money to go somewhere else.
So the kid makes money off of football, we're angry, but if he makes it selling lemonade, we're okay with it?
I know.
Stop it. Get out of here with that crap.
Football's the new lemonade. I've been saying that for years. All right?
Your home for the best college football coverage in Utah is on the KSL Sports Zone. Ready? The Cougars kick off the 2024 season with a home battle against Southern Illinois. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Thanks for being with us, everybody. It is finally here. None of this week 0 garbage, although it was very welcomed garbage this weekend in my home.
I consumed all of that garbage with a smile on my face.
College football does something to you, man. I mean, I'm watching Zach Wilson in the third. I guess it was their third preseason game because they only do 3 now unless you play in the Hall of Fame game. But Zach Wilson played like the entire game basically yesterday, and I'm like watching all of it. It was okay football, but we'll take it this time of year. Now, all the prognostications and all the things, all the guessing, it's all still right in front of us here. It's week 1, though. We have our local teams actually playing, in the college football future of a 12-team playoff starts this week. It's very, very exciting stuff. Joining us on the program right now, Dan Wetzel, College Football Inquirer, the podcast. Give it a listen. You can, of course, read his byline at Yahoo Sports as well. Dan, what's going on, man? Thanks for being with us.
Well, I watched some Canadian football last night. And then on FS1, they were replaying Ohio State, Michigan from last year, so I started watching that.
We're desperate for
starving. I'm with you. If we want to do like a pathetic, like is this like a support group?
I'm part of that group. I'm in. We're all sickos
I was
together,
like, this
Dan.
is so stupid. Turn it up. This is so dumb. Give me more of it.
Wonder who wins this game.
I know.
Boy,
it's,
Ohio State's looking good. Maybe not. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah,
right, yeah.
But hey, honestly, week 1 was pretty fun, right? Did you have fun on Saturday?
Yeah, it was. I like the Ireland opener. I'm generally like college football should be played in America, but it's a great scene. Obviously, people are really fired up for the trip because it's Dublin and all that, and like they had a great crowd for game day, and it was a really good game. And Georgia Tech played terrific. I liked how they played, but just something special to kick off the season. So I think actually they should have. I think teams should be begging to get into those other 2 windows because no one's got anything else to watch.
Yeah,
you know, like this game occurs a month later and maybe no one notices. Instead, everyone paid attention and knows what Georgia Tech's about.
Yeah, I was doing the same thing in terms of like, I guess I'll watch this because it's on. I was watching Florida A&M versus Norfolk State on Saturday night, and I went, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing. And then one of my sons walks in and goes, Florida A&M's 25th in the country. I was like, slow your roll. No, in the FCS, yes, they are. But we'll take whatever we can get. And it was actually games that counted going up on the TV screen. But it's going to get big this weekend, of course. Here locally in Salt Lake, we're just so dang excited about the rivalry game between Utah and BYU. Well, the rivalry game will happen in November, but the rivalry itself of both teams being back in the conference and us talking about that Big 12. What does the Big 12 look like now with these 16 teams, and what do you think they're going to be as a conference this year?
Exciting, fun, interesting. We did this on our podcast. I think we made the case for like 10 different teams winning it. You start going through it and you're like, well, if KJ Jefferson's he transferred to UCF and Gus Malzahn's good with running QBs and, I don't know. You can make a case. I just think week in, week out, it's going to be really interesting, big games. It's going to be it's a lot more like the NFL where it's just a lot of even teams and even programs. And, I don't think anyone's going to go through unscathed. I don't see anybody being, at least on paper, dramatically better than someone else. And I just think it's going to be a fun season. Just a lot of really interesting games and trips. And, it may not be the best at trying to get 2 or 3 teams in the playoff, but winning that championship is going to be something else and a real accomplishment.
Utah picked to win the Big 12. Do you view it that way, or do you have another team you think is going to rise above?
I've been picking Kansas State, but certainly with a nod to Utah. You don't ever really want to go against one of Kyle's teams. He knows how to win. This is the team that's, just probably the best program on paper going in right now in the last 5 years. I like the Kansas State team a little bit. I like their quarterback. It's also really well coached. So I think those are kind of my top 2. But you could certainly make a really good case for Oklahoma State being very good. I actually believe in Iowa State. Arizona's got the quarterback. I guess we can go down the whole list here, like we said. But I would certainly not be surprised at all if the Utes win this thing.
We were also kind of breaking this one down, and Kyle Whittingham this week, today, having his first real game prep, game week presser. And, man, they just must be chomping at the bit to see what these guys can do after Cam Rising hasn't played since January 1 of 2023, and after Brant Keithy, who's an All-American candidate in a lot of people's eyes, hasn't played in almost 2 years. Tons of injuries that were out all last year are coming back this year for the Utes, and so they have their eye on doing something special. But, you were talking about Kansas State and, the Kansases and the Arizonas and the Iowa States. Even JJ and I both love what Matt Campbell does there in Ames. But, of course, this BYU team probably wasn't one of those 10 teams that you had picked to make a path to the Big 12 championship game. Maybe you did, though. I don't know. What's BYU? What's their look this year, and what Kalani Sitake has to figure out first is who that starting quarterback is.
Yeah, I think that's the question. A lot of these teams are set at the most important position, and you don't know with BYU. So, but BYU always will surprise you. They're always tough, and they'll always surprise you. And I think a lot of these teams in the Big 12, it's hard to just be year in. You say who's going to win the Big 10, you're like, okay, let's start with Ohio State, or let's start with Michigan. They're almost always good, or Georgia's always good. I think a lot of the programs in the Big 12 are going to be up and down year to year, and I think maybe that's what BYU is. I did watch Big 12 media days, and they seem pretty confident in what they had. So I'll be intrigued to see what they have. But they got to get a quarterback. Where I think Utah, if everyone's healthy, you know what their quarterback's going to be. You know what the quarterback's going to be at Arizona, at K-State, at some of these other places.
We're entering a different world here in college football this season. Everything's different. The 12-team playoff is something we've been waiting for, but it's certainly going to change college football. How much do you think it's going to change, and what's going to be so different with the 12-team playoff as opposed to the 4-team and its impact on how college football operates?
Well, I just think how you view the season week in, week out, and then how many teams are going to be in this thing late in the year. Last year, Florida State won all of its games and didn't get in the playoff. This year, they're currently in 17th place in the ACC, but they could still end up the 3 seed.
Sure.
So, there's just so much winning your conference now matters so much. And there's more teams that I think are looking at a season and going, okay, we can do this. And where like 5 years ago, you're not really – none of these teams in the Big 12 are legitimately going to go, all right, we can win the national championship, or we can even get into the 4-team playoff. If you look at how many I think it's 14 teams made the playoff in 10 years of the 4-team playoff. It's Alabama and Clemson got 2 spots, and then maybe it's Georgia or LSU, and it's Ohio State or Michigan. That's pretty much, and then a couple teams would slip in every once in a while, but you didn't really have a chance. You didn't realistically say we're going to have to thread some needle to make a miracle season just to get into this playoff. That isn't the case anymore. And yeah, maybe you're not going to win the national title, but like I said, you get a top 4 seed, you get a bye into the quarterfinals. What if you're 5 through 8 and you get to host a game? I think it's even more fun than getting a bye. If let's say Utah ends up a 6 seed and they get to host a game in Salt Lake City, or BYU for that matter, and it's a Michigan or a Penn State coming for a playoff game, like the way to showcase your campus and your program, and that game alone will mean so much. So a little of the way basketball, it's not like you go in and say, oh, we can win the national title, but it's like we can make March Madness. We can make the Sweet 16. We're going to hang a banner for that. We made a Final Four. Oh, my gosh, right? There's levels of success, and they are attainable to so many more schools that I think there's 50, 60 schools going into the season with really high hopes for what I think most fans would look at as a special season, where a couple years ago when that playoff was small and the only way to really be good was to be able to stack top 5 recruiting classes, you go in the season and maybe there's 5 or 6 teams that thought we could get into the playoff, and that's about it. So I think it's a lot more fun for all the people in the and you know, if you're Utah and you end up the 3 seed or the 4 seed and you're going to get a quarterfinal game against, you know, in a big time quarterfinal playoff game, you've got a shot. That's pretty awesome. That wasn't laying there before.
Dan Wetzel, College Football Inquirer, the podcast. You can take a listen to that and find it wherever fine podcasts are found, where you download those podcasts, and also Yahoo Sports, of course. Dan, what's the G5 situation going forward in college football, like with the playoff? How are they going to – I mean, obviously after 2 years, they're going to have a revamp. Probably, I would imagine they would add more teams even. I don't know what a perfect number is, but we've always heard kind of 16 as maybe being that number. Where does the rest of college football, the G5 included, but even like, you know, your ACCs and your Big 12s in the world of the SEC and the Big 10?
Well, it's perilous. That's the problem. I am a huge believer that this playoff should be at 12 and the G5 should get a team in. And it's one spot, and it's going to be the 12 seed, okay? And that's it. And give the Mountain West a chance for something to play for. Give the American, whatever. You have that special season. One of these years a MAC team goes 12-0. You want that. They get in. It's not a big deal. It's one spot. But they're going to have to be pretty good in these next 2 years and at least play well in that game, because it is, you know, the SEC and the Big Ten they just want all the cookies. They just want everything. Mm-hmm. And so it's like one more spot, one more bit of revenue. They kick the G5 out and get one more spot for their teams. And, you know, I get some of it. You're going to go into a playoff and the 12 seed could be unranked, right? You know, it could be Memphis, could be Boise State or something like that. Maybe they're unranked or they're ranked 22nd. It would be a really behoove. I just think the sport's better when everyone's got some kind of chance, and it would be exciting to have those underdog teams in and let people build and go that way. And so it would be great if this year Boise State turns out to, you know, as that team or something like that, has a really good season and either, you know, at least plays very well in that bit. The group of 5 has got to prove itself a little bit this year, because the Wolves are at the door trying to knock them out. And I just hate that. I just think this is the one of the beauties of college football. We were basically talking about this, right? What we were willing to watch is it is 134 teams. It is a circus. It is a zoo. No one on earth would create a league with 134 teams in it and one championship, right? You got all these different types of schools, city schools, country schools, state schools, religious institutions, military academies, you name it. Big, small, we got it all. And you want them all to matter in some way. We get joy out of all of it. And it's not going to stop Ohio State and Georgia from playing for the national title if we at least give a little bit of a carrot to the Mountain West and everybody else.
There's my skepticism about the playoff, though, is it feels like it's just going to become the Big Ten and SEC Invitational as they get more powerful and have more money. The rich will get richer. Do you disagree with that, or do you think that that's where this could be headed once they, even especially if they add, you know, get to 14, 16? It's just going to make the Big Ten and the SEC more powerful.
Yeah, it will, but at least if there's some access, you have a chance, right? And really there wasn't access much in the past. It's basically been the SEC and the Big Ten to a degree, but mainly the SEC or really teams in the Southeast that can win this. So you have to have that guaranteed access. I don't think people are fans. No offense to these fans, but I don't think they're BYU and Utah fans because they got into it and thought one day we're going to win the national championship. But to have at least a chance to try is what you want. You know, I always look back on that team with Alex Smith and Urban Meyer at Utah that finished sixth in the poll and that didn't even get a thought that they could compete. What would that team have done? Could they win a game? Sure. I think they could have won a game. Could they have won it all? Probably not, but who knows? And you just want to have that chance. So I think the more teams that at least have some hope to participate in the postseason, it's not about necessarily winning a national title. It's just about being at least in the mix, and instead of just saying, well, we got to kick you out so we get a fifth team from the SEC or the Big Ten. That's what we really got to guard against.
He's Dan Wetzel. You can listen to his podcast, College Football Inquirer, the podcast. Go take a listen. Read his byline, of course, Yahoo Sports. Dan, we appreciate it. We're looking forward to actual football games that actually matter. But even then, we'll probably find a way to complain about them. So we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you, man. Take care. Anytime.
All right, there you go.
Thanks, Dan. Love his work.
He's awesome.
He's just you. If you like to put a Mount Rushmore of college football
writers,
media, writers, he's right up. He's on that.
He's seen it all.
He's great.
Hopefully,
it's great to talk to him.
Hopefully, we'll be able to get a little bit of an idea. You know what stinks about all this is that if you're a BYU fan, everybody talks about, man, you're right. There's 8 or 10 teams that could be in that mix. BYU's never in that 8 or 10 teams.
They're not
mix.
talking about BYU when they say that, and that should grind your gears.
That should piss you right off.
So, and trust me, we saw salty Kalani today. You don't think?
Ooh, you
don't think they hear that?
Is that the ice cream flavor that he picked now?
Salty Kalani at the creamery.
Broncos cocoa beans.
Did we just create a new flavor at the creamery?
That's why it's listed as an or. So you can keep asking the questions. We have a plan, guys. We know what we're doing. We've been through this before, and we're going to be just fine.
Salty Kalani, it's just pure.
He almost went full Saban on us.
Vanilla ice cream with just
You never go full Saban in Provo, though. You never go full Saban in Provo.
No, that's a new. No, you know what? New ice cream flavor. Rat poison. Boom. Give me the rat poison. We're not taking that rat poison, boys. We're not doing it. Right here, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
All the latest news and notes from the league and the locals in the NFL. JJ and Alex bring you the NFL Blitz on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Curie, Jeremiah Jensen, and this music, of course, it gets you excited for the NFL season. You've got college football that fires up this weekend. The NFL will be readying itself.
A week from Thursday.
Will be readying itself for the week after. So college football gets the full slate this weekend, and then the NFL takes over with a Thursday night fire up of the season. And, of course, your Saturdays and Sundays belong to football. It's a good thing.
It's glorious.
It's amazing. By the way, join Hans and Scotty Wednesday from 1 to 3 on their Cougar Preview Show, brought to you by Beehive Meals. The NFL Blitz, brought to you by the good folks at the Doug Smith family of dealerships in American Fork and Spanish Fork for all of your vehicle needs. Doug Smith dealerships in American Fork and Spanish Fork. There you go. By the way, we're going to be giving away our Rocky Mountain Chevy Dealer Play of the Weekend as DJ and PK gave out this morning. So I want you to think back on the play that they gave out, and we'll be giving those out in just a few minutes here. First of all, the big news today, not a shock, but the number is pretty shocking still. Cowboys wideout CeeDee Lamb has extended his contract 4 years, $136 million is the terms of the deal. We knew this was coming, JJ. We should know how much the exact amount was. And in the words of, what did Micah Parsons say? He's like, he's going to sign it. Just let's get it signed, dude. Let's get you your money, but let's stop pretending like you're not going to play in these games.
It's done. Deal's done. He got what he wanted, and the Cowboys are going to get what they want. CeeDee Lamb is going to be on the field for the season opener. He didn't need the preseason.
No.
So they figured this out. We knew they would. You saw the confidence in Micah Parsons. He got paid. Now, is Dak Prescott going to get paid next?
Ooh.
That's a tougher question to answer, but CeeDee Lamb will be with the Cowboys 4 years, $136 million.
So I grew up, watching the Cowboys down in Dallas. We lived down there, and they won a couple Super Bowls when I was a kid. Michael Irvin was the classic number 88. I think Drew Pearson was also number 88. Maybe. Des Bryant, of course. was 88, and now CeeDee Lamb. Pretty tough. Somebody was like, "Oh yeah, he's looking to become the best 88 in the history of Cowboy wide receivers that have worn the number 88." It's pretty tough to pass up what Michael Irvin did, mostly because Michael Irvin, like I said, won 3 Super Bowls. You got to do if you're CeeDee Lamb and you bring the Cowboys 1 Super Bowl right now, I think you'd probably be more important just because it's been a really, really awful desert for the Cowboys to wander through since 1995, I guess, was when last time they won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's been almost 30 years to the year, right? So when are they finally going to break through? As long as Jerry Jones is there. Isn't he? He's the common denominator.
Speaking of 88, is he 88 years old yet?
All the quarterbacks, the coaches, everything. He's the one common denominator, and he ran out the coach that won him the Super Bowls. So...
Oh, Jerry Jones is only 81 years old? He was going to be my favorite Cowboy 88, if he was 88, okay?
That would have been funny. He's not quite there yet.
He feels like it. He looks it.
Yeah, and I don't see the Cowboys winning one anytime soon either.
Oh, good for them. Good for them. They got Dak Prescott. They got CeeDee Lamb. They should be set.
You're right.
Who's their running back? Is it Zeke still?
It's a mess.
It is a mess. Okay.
By committee.
So Zeke Elliott. Is L.J. Martin going to start for the Cowboys this year? Was that what you're saying?
Might be better.
Okay. might be a better option than what they have. All right. Oh, we've got some sound for you. This is what it sounded like yesterday. Zach Wilson absolutely taking over that Bronco offense, and he won that. He won that game basically single-handedly yesterday. But the Bo Nix earning the starting job, you had a pissed off Jarrett Stidham who thought for
salty.
Sure he thought for sure
Kalani.
he was going to be the guy. He didn't know how he didn't win that starting job. But this is what Zach Wilson.
Stidham.
I know this is what Zach Wilson said about Bo Nix earning that starting job.
Yeah, I was excited for him. I mean, I don't think it was a surprise too much, obviously, right? I think he's had a great camp. I told him I'm excited for him for this opportunity. I really believe they're putting him in a good situation. I think Sean has done a phenomenal job, and then the guys that we get to hang out with, starting with Davis and then Joe and Pete and then Johnny Moe, we have a great offensive staff. I think they do a great job. And then Bo has just continued to keep getting better, so I'm excited to see what he can do, and I think he's ready for it.
How diplomatic is that?
Well, I think it's funny that he kind of chuckled. I think he did. It was like, we all knew what was going on.
Yeah,
here.
He's not a dummy.
Why is Jarrett Stidham being like what? I come in here, I anticipate to compete to win the starting job in a football game. It's like, you knew who they picked in the first round, right?
You knew what was up here.
Even if you were just a tiny bit better than Bo Nix, they probably would have started Bo Nix because he's a first-round, number 12 overall pick, man. But, yeah, Zach Wilson, he had a hell of a game yesterday, man.
He was awesome. 251 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 on the ground. That last touchdown pass he had in the fourth quarter was vintage Zach Wilson, which that arm and that zip and that type of throw, that's why he's in the NFL right now. I hope that Zach Wilson gets another chance to start because in the right organization, in the right opportunity, in the right timing, I think he can still get it done. With the Broncos, this has given him a lease on life. He's not going to get a start, but maybe that opportunity comes along. But now he can pick where it's going to be.
Yeah.
He's not stuck in New York where all quarterbacks go to die.
By the way, Puka Nacua, for all you Rams and BYU fans that are out there, Puka Nacua back in individual drills at practice this week for the Rams. He's been out since he injured his knee in August a few weeks ago. And, but yeah, he says feeling pretty good. They're going to start easing into full practice, full speed workouts, different things like that with the expectation they'll be ready to go for the Lions game. So that's Sean McVay, what he said about it. And look, we all saw that he got a little bit of a bum knee there, and it kind of makes you nervous because last year he was just so healthy the entire season, it seemed like, JJ, which was not the case all the time with him in college. And so saying that he's going to be back is good news for Rams fans out there.
No doubt. Can Puka repeat what he did last year? That would be something. I don't expect him to, and I think it's okay not to expect him to because now teams know who he is.
So what is a real expectation then?
Oh, he's probably knocking on 1,000 yards again. But everybody knows who he is. He's not going to sneak up on people. It's Cooper Kupp, right? He was their star.
Yep.
Well, that's kind of flipped.
Yeah.
I think people would view Nacua as the bigger star at this point now.
I think it's better for both of them.
So who's getting more attention?
Yeah.
It was Kupp getting attention. Now it's going to be Puka getting that same attention. probably opens things up for a lot of other Rams players, but they still got a great quarterback in the room. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for whoever the receivers are. So Puka's going to have a good year. Don't expect it to repeat what he did last year. That was special. That was...
What did he end up with last year? 1,500
Oh, my gosh.
something yards?
Puka's, I mean...
1,500,
I should have it memorized, right?
Broke the rookie record,
1,486 yards on 105 catches, 6 touchdowns.
Not bad.
His touchdown numbers could go up, but how is he going to top 1,486 yards again when the entire league knows who he is now?
Yeah, how many catches was it?
105.
Yeah, 100
Those
catches.
are both rookie records.
Crazy.
Catches and yards.
Yeah, I think a real expectation. It's good news though for Cooper Kupp and for Puka Nacua, right?
Yeah.
It's like they have to honor one of those dudes. They have to stay on one of those guys.
Both need to stay healthy.
Yeah, and it gives the opportunity for either one of them to do really, really well. So, or both of them. Matt Stafford, that's a good problem to have for him. Let me see here.
Bad news.
What?
For former Ute. Tim Patrick.
Oh, yeah, what happened?
Is going to be traded or released by the Denver Broncos.
Uh-oh.
Great story coming back from those 2 major injuries. But they've decided, and to be honest, it might be the fault of another Ute that he's moving on.
Devon Vele.
They got Tim Patrick 2.0 and Devon Vele. And he's a lot cheaper.
A little cheaper.
And
by the way, that was funny. It wasn't that funny to see Zach Wilson throwing to Devon Vele.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's what's you gotta love the NFL. Bringing everybody together.
Everybody comes together. So there you go. All right. We got some stuff to give away. It's a Monday, which of course means that over the weekend, DJ and PK picked out their Rocky Mountain Chevy Dealers play of the weekend, and they gave it out this morning on their show. So if you're calling number 12 right now, and let me give the phone number out, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-9663. 801-575-ZONE. Tell us what the play was that they gave out on their show. And if you're calling number 12, we'll get you a gift card to Amazon. Good? Fair enough? With an impressive lineup of cars, trucks, and SUVs, no wonder people are switching to Chevy. It's your Rocky Mountain Chevy Dealers. Jeremy, I know that you had said earlier that this was not a college football play, right?
Correct, it's not.
Okay, because we're going to be...
It's not the pot of gold.
No, because we're going to... No, that was the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. From
Have another Guinness.
I need to give the right accent next time.
So they gave out a play this week, anticipating we were going to have a lot of college football and NFL football over the next few months. And we might get a break from that, right? Is there what else? Any other clues out there?
We talked about it earlier.
Okay.
I was in attendance and saw this live.
Okay, that was a good clue.
So if you heard that earlier.
That's the most information Jeremy's ever given out on
please.
Just bragging about
he just went, yeah.
That was First time I ever went there, and it was a great time.
It was. It was cool. That's awesome. All right.
I've been there. The hot dogs are overrated.
I did not get one.
Yeah.
A blankety blank
They're
dog?
just hot dogs.
All right. We'll take the break here. We'll come back. Call number 12 right now. 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE. You get the Amazon gift card if you're calling number 12, and you can tell us what that Rocky Mountain Chevy Dealer play of the weekend was. All right. We will come back. We do have more right around the corner. It's our best and worst, and they are bad and good. There you go. More to go. 97.5 VKSL Sports Zone.
This is your Utes at 50 update on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is your Ute update at 50. Offensive coordinator Andy Ludwig expects the offense to be more productive this season.
This team has a chance to be very dynamic in the red zone, and we have historically been good in the red zone, in the red area. We give it a lot of work. That gets a lot of attention. We got a lot of playmakers. We got to put the ball in the end zone.
That's your Ute at 50 update. Best and worst next on JJ and Alex 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Wrapping up the hour with our picks for the best and worst moments on today's show. As JJ and Alex want to hear your best and worst of the day.
All right, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 KSL Sports Zone, final segment of the hour. Our best and worst. We'll get right to it. For an incredible selection of Kia, Subaru, Chevy, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram, visit your Doug Smith dealerships in American Fork and Spanish Fork. Great service starts with know-how, and nobody knows like Doug and the Doug Smith family of dealerships. Best and worst. Not often we throw a best on a day that we also rolled our eyes at Coach Prime, but Colorado and its NIL collective have provided the 529 accounts. Those are your college savings accounts for kids. They've opened those accounts for athletes in conjunction with a local bank there. And the amount that they get in the account for their kids, $21.21.
That's cool.
Little nod to Prime there, I'm assuming. Is that what that is?
I'm sure.
Hey, everybody, guess who got you that money? Coach Prime. $2,000, $121. $2,121 from Coach Prime or from the collective or whomever. Is it a credit union or a bank? One of those. It's a credit union. Okay, there you go. This would put a credit union out of business, I feel like, if they did this for BYU. I want to know how many kids well, first of all, how many kids are on the team for the Buffaloes? Did they say 10-ish? Okay.
It's anyone's guess.
I don't know how many. I'm not.
Get the guys in a circle so that
you left yourself wide open on that one.
I'm not going to touch that.
I ain't either.
All right.
I said what I said.
But, yeah, the BYU number would be considerably higher, I would think.
Documented, yes.
There you go. Okay. And then your worst of the day, I saw this article and I was like, JJ, we got to laugh our butts off about this. According to the latest rumor, a front office brass to not be named in this article for the Lakers said, ideally, we would like Luka Doncic to be the face of the Lakers going forward. After LeBron, of course. After LeBron moves on.
It's that easy.
And takes his son with him. Can we get a Luka in here? Is he available? I just love the idea of the
arrogance
Lakers.
of that horrible franchise.
Oh,
LeBron's retired. Okay, let's go get the other best player. Just let's make a phone call.
Let's make him the face of our franchise. Is that cool?
Lukey, ready? We're ready for you now.
Yeah.
Get out of
See,
here,
but even
Lakers.
even though that story just getting out there, Luka sees that kind of stuff. It might chuckle a little bit, but then also think to himself, it'd be kind of nice to live in L.A., right?
Beach and mountains.
I have to have nice clubs. You know he's a club guy, right?
Is he?
He's Eastern European, I just assumed. Sorry.
Well, the Jokic is Eastern European, and all he wants to do is hang out with his horses.
He just wants a sandwich.
Or that.
All right. Oh, my goodness. All right, we got to get out this hour.
Your home for the best college football coverage in Utah is on the KSL Sports Zone. Ready? It's a Thursday night opener for the Utes as they welcome in Southern Utah to Rice-Eccles Stadium. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. This is JJ and Alex, presented by G2G Bars on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, welcome back. Final segment. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Alex Curie, Jeremiah Jensen. Hey, it's football week.
Yes,
JJ,
it is.
Yeah. But before we get to it, I did want to throw this out. I was crunching some of the numbers of how Aaron Judge is doing this year. And we talked about how MVP caliber season for him, which is crazy considering that, you've got, you have awesome baseball players, maybe the most important baseballers. But like when it comes to 100-mile-an-hour pitchers, we have more than we've ever had in the game.
Yes.
Phenomenal to watch these guys, including some of the youngest ones coming in. Everybody's throwing 100 miles an hour now. Multiple times a game, not just like breaking it once. Remember when Aroldis Chapman would come in and throw 102 and then everybody would be like, he did it, wow. Now it's like the entire start for Paul Skeens. He's throwing multiple 100-mile-an-hour pitches. Yeah. But you've also got the Yankees and Aaron Judge, who is on pace right now to break his American League record of 62 home runs that he beat Roger Maris's record a couple of years ago, and now he's on pace again. These are insane numbers, and the 40-40 club that Shohei Ohtani joined this weekend on a grand slam and a stolen base, amazing. We still have 20 games left in the season, but baseball is like, I don't know if we got so ruined by the cheating that happened in the late 90s. I was obsessed with that home run race. I was obsessed with Barry Bonds' 74 home runs a year. He hit it a couple years after that. And now Aaron Judge is doing this, and we're kind of going, that's pretty cool.
What's left to do in baseball? What records are left to be broken? So we look at these records and we look at these things, and it's like not really that big of a deal. Shohei Ohtani, 40-40 club. Well, yeah, Shohei is amazing. He's obviously better than Jose Canseco, so why do we look at this differently? The home run thing. What is the real record of Major League Baseball? Do we recognize Barry Bonds' 70 home runs?
No.
Or do we still recognize Hank Aaron as the home run king? Right? You know what I mean? Like, who has the records here? That's the problem here, and that's why these things just don't matter as much to people anymore, because back in the day, like, baseball went through a period of time between the lockout or the strike in 1994 and the juicing in the late 90s and early 2000s that we don't know what to think about the game and its integrity and its history. So we're just not really into that kind of stuff. But if you're a hardcore baseball fan, you're enjoying it, but it really isn't capturing the masses, which is disappointing.
All right, we'll take the break here. We'll be back again tomorrow for more JJ and Alex, more college football talk, everything right in front of you. We'll be right here again, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.